As I mentioned before, I go through the background, what we've done in the last 15 years in Gaza, background of the ballistic injury mortality rate in Gaza compared to the other parts in the world, and historically, if there's any connection with the rest of the world. And what we do in terms of complex reconstruction. So our team is mainly they're not Crystal Oberlin, and these are the local surgeon, which is trained by our team in the last 10 years. So most of them, they do most of the procedure, which we do them as well. So they are running the whole reconstruction department currently in Shifa Hospital, which I was 5 days ago. So we've been doing this for more than 15 years. We have a regular mission 3 to 4 times a year. We spend every time around 10 days. It's the way it works. We work as a tertiary referral. We don't do anything which local surgeon can do. So our plan is to add, rather than taking anything from local surgeon. During that 10 days, usually we operate between 7 and 8 days. However, that depends on availability of theaters. There are times which we run 2 theaters. We've done it before 3-4 theaters. Depends on how big the group was. And recently, we've been doing only 1 theater because of the problem, as mentioned, in terms of the electricity, in terms of the resources, in terms of the payment, which is becoming a problem in the last 12 months. Overall, when you look at the ballistic injury, there is the way it works. Everywhere in the world, you have a primary assessment, you have secondary assessment. We are involved in the secondary assessment of these patients with the local surgeon. We have the data, we have videos, we have x-rays, and we have all the investigation available. There are things that changed historically in terms of the ballistic injury. As I mentioned before, mortality in the First World War is around 84% if you look at the northern France and the Belgium, and especially with the polytrauma. And that is reduced dramatically in the last 100 years by basic inputs from the surgeons. I think Gaza can be a different experience compared to the rest of the world. Gaza currently, based on the data we have between 2000 and 2004, there were 4,000 victims. Out of those, the one they arrived to hospital, it's a 10%. However, mortality pre-admission is much higher. So, ballistic injury is common everywhere. United States is the highest number have every year. It's surprising if you say there's a 250,000 only at the extremity injury in United States. And that is, compared to the population, still represent a high number. However, these injuries are completely different we face in Gaza compared to what we see in the what we call the developed world. So the type of ballistic injuries, it can be the crutch injuries, they can have with the physical injuries, and also the most importantly, which we don't deal with, is the psychological effect and aftermath of these injuries. So there are different aspects which can affect the severity of the ballistic injuries, and the way they deliver it different. Nature of environment, which is Gaza compared to the rest of the world, is a close distance from device, which is everyone is very close to in Gaza. So most of them, they will get what they call secondary type of injuries. And the causes can be from the war, can be from the local, which they're trying to produce electricity, trying to do different instruments which they are struggling with. And we see the different type. It's not just a war. So, ballistic, as I said, overall, they are most of the rest of the world. They can be primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary, and quaternary type of injury. In Gaza, most of them are secondary injuries to do with the pressures, to do with the close proximity of these blasts to the people. So, I will bypass this. So if you look at the way it's a blast entry, it works. Most of the people, most of the Ghazean, it lies within the red area, the two lines there, which is from overpressure and heat. And that is more common type of the injury which we noticed. If you look at the Oklahoma, that's the injury, which is the building, that you cannot compare what's happening in Gaza with the rest of the world. So the rest of the world, they can calculate based on the injury, which one have the red is a mortality, and the one which they go to the hospital for triage is the one can be discharged. So you can do that in the rest of the world, but you can't do that in Gaza. There's nothing you can calculate. You say, this is prediction, this is how it is happened. That demolition, almost everyone will die unless someone is lucky somehow escapes. These are type of the device which they have been used. Locally, some of them from the war as well. People, they have more protection. They have a chest covered, so they will have more extremity injuries. The extremity injuries are less in Gaza compared to the other injuries. The reason most of the people that die from the scene, from the chest injuries. If you look at the army, they have more protection nowadays from abdomen, from chest, from everywhere else. So that's why extremity injury you might find is still high, but compared to multi-trauma ones, because people, they won't survive the injury because they don't have any protection. But that's not true for most of the army. The army has changed in the last 100 years. People, they live longer, they have more complication of their extremities. But in Gaza, you might not see multi-trauma patients. You see still, of course, multi-trauma patients. However, that compared to developed world, it's less in extremity compared to the rest of the injuries like the chest, abdomen, head injuries, because they won't survive and they don't have a protection from it. So these are some of the operations which I look at it, we performed. We have a data of all of them. So we have a brachial plexus injury around the 44 with the results, a peripheral injury 223, bone and joint infection 122, soft tissue procedures, that's including grafting, different type of the grafting, and 155 of tendon transfers. So out of the injuries, these are some of the outcomes which we presented in a different European Trauma Society meetings as well. The most common one we will see every now and then is positional injuries, and we see them, and we take a bit, I don't know if it's video working or, and we examine them, we have the data, we put them, and we will operate based on the time and based on the extent of the injury, the nerve injuries. These are brachial plexus injuries, which we've done what we call vascular transfers, and this is very rare even in the Middle East, these type of procedures, and even in France there are few places people they will operate on the vascular transfers, which is a part of the nerve you transfer to the, for example, median nerve to ulnar nerve, or ulnar nerve to median nerve based on the injuries. And we've done a nerve grafting, and nerve repairs as well, around the 24 out of those brachial plexus injuries. This is another type of procedure we call vascular transfers for biceps. Axillary nerve to ulnar nerve. In case of, because in appendix what's important is hand. As long as you have a good hand function, you can transfer the axillary nerve to ulnar nerve to function. After that, you deal with the rest of the shoulder and elbow. We have a mixed type of injuries, what we call a type 6 type of injury, which you have the entire nerve is not injured, they require different procedures. Muscle transfers, for example, in shoulders, we do different muscle transfer from latissimus dorsi to pectoralis transfer. And these are vascular transfers for brachial plexus injury. Pectoralis transfer with the fusion of the shoulder. There are type of people which they are paraplegic, however the upper limb is quite important, so we deal with those as well, which make their mobility better. And we recently started, last week we started the type of people which they have a spastic palsy or cerebral palsy. We do the similar procedure for them, which in terms of the hygiene, in terms of looking after them, will make a difference for them. Out of those peripheral nerve injuries, these are based on the brachial nerve 65 and ulnar nerve and the rest. There are combined nerve injuries with the bony injuries. They are not very common. The pure nerve injuries still are more common injuries. As I mentioned, we've done a nerve repair. Most of the time we take a pseudo nerve which can give us around the 50 centimeter length, and most of the time we need to take two pseudo nerve and the antecubital nerve as well in the forearm. The local surgeon, most of the time they can do the nerve repair, and they will deal with them most of the time, and when they require further input, we will deal with them in our machines. Different type of tendon transfer as well around the wrists and hands. And we have complex hand injuries. Complex hand injuries by definition that are more common, which is recently looking at all these cases and comparing them with the complex hand injury in the different countries. And I think the outcome, the one we've seen in Gaza, they are very good. However, I cannot give you data on that, but I'm looking at but we have around 200 patients, one with amputation. By definition, complex hand injury are those with the ballistic injuries. They have more than one nerve, soft tissue, tendon injuries. So there's a criteria for complex hand injury. We deal with them. We go according to this protocol like anywhere in the world. And these are type of injury you see every time in Gaza. Most of the time we washing with the tap water most of the time is fine. Even there's a paper published in state which doesn't make any difference. So that saves money for the local. And this is outcome of one of those complex hand injury which is done by local surgeon. This is not by us. And the good thing in Gaza, they preserve all the soft tissue regardless, because the patient, like anywhere in the world, they are very high demand patient. And still, so that wasn't normal, I think it's 10 years or 15 years ago, because there are more things they can do. They can do more soft tissue covers, and they can do transfers, so even they keep on single digit, which might help in. So this is a flap, inguinal flap, and same thing, flap and polycization of the fingers. So she had a deformity of the shoulder, deformity of the elbow, deformity of the wrist, with the stiffness of both wrist and elbow. So we've done a multiple operation for her. The first procedure was to fuse the wrist, abdominal flap, and to give a good grip. Inguinal flap. And inguinal flap removed after 4 weeks. And that's the second procedure. So this is after first procedure, and this is second procedure for transverse side flap and fusion of the elbow to put in a better position, 3 flaps, wrist elbow fusion. Tendon transfers. So this is an example of patient how we keep a record. Thank you.